Everything you see to make this video possible, all of the lights, my camera, the microphone, everything, costs less than a new Sony a7 IV or Canon R6 body. I see a lot of people, especially beginners, say things like, if I had this camera, I could take better photos, or if I had this expensive light, my videos would be much better. But in all truth, it's never about the equipment. But if you go to any photographers or filmmakers' content, I'm sure you'll find people asking, what gear do they use? This is because the only people who care about the gear that you use are the people who also do the thing that you do. Let's try this. Think of an amazing piece of art. It could be a painting, a sculpture, a musical piece, really anything that you think is awesome and has had some sort of an impact on you. Now, with every impact and thought that came from that piece of art, I'd be willing to bet you never had a single thought about which paintbrush or chisel or tool was used to create that art. Great art is never about the tools, it's about the artist. You can find a ton of videos on YouTube about pros using entry-level gear and still getting some great content because they've put in the work and practice and know how to use their skills regardless of their tool. If you want to make an impact on people, then you should really be thinking about how to hone your skills because that will have a much larger impact on photos and videos than any fancy new camera. That camera you've been thinking about getting will not make you a better photographer or filmmaker, but practice will. Now, there's certainly something to be said about outgrowing your gear. For example, if you started shooting on something like your phone and you've gotten really good with it, but at some point it feels like you've just hit this ceiling, then yeah, it might be time to start looking into something like an entry-level DSLR because your skills have outgrown what is possible with your hardware. But most gear these days is more than capable for what the majority of people will use them for. I've gone pretty much my entire career shooting entry-level DSLRs. My first one was a Canon T3i, and the one I'm shooting on right now is a Canon M50. And these sub $1,000 cameras have allowed me to do so much, with things like client work to starting this YouTube channel. And it wasn't until very recently did it feel like it might be time to start thinking about upgrading. And in case you're wondering, I'm thinking about upgrading because, for one, I kinda wanna switch to Sony because I hate having a 30-minute record limit on my Canon. And I want to be able to work on my color grading a bit more, which I'm pretty limited with my 8-bit camera here. But with all that being said, I'm still going to be using this camera for a while, until I really feel like I've hit that skill ceiling, because constraints like that do force creativity. Basically with this, what I'm trying to say is you should always invest in yourself first. Go out and practice and work on your skills. But after that, be smart about the gear that you get. By this I mean, in most cases, if you want something like your image to look better, get something like a nicer lens, because that will create a much better looking image than any new camera. Or, if you're shooting a video, a nice microphone will do a lot more wonders for your video than a new fancy light, because people are much more willing to watch a bad looking video with good audio than a great looking video with bad audio. A great little tip I'll leave you with is when you see someone's content that you admire or look that you want to achieve, think, how can I get that with my equipment, instead of my equipment can't do that. That will do a lot more for your work because it will get you thinking and trying things, as opposed to the thought process ending because you think your work is tied to your gear. So, long story short, focus on yourself and work on creating content that is better than your former self. And really, if you can, just compare yourself to your past self rather than others. Trust me when I say I know this can be hard, but it's a much better way of going about things. But that pretty much does it for this video. If you guys like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.